don't think we should be overly critical of Kate. She's trying to help by putting out a photograph of herself. She's also recuperating from quite serious abdominal surgery. And this photograph was a nice gesture and a nice picture. But the people around her should have seen with the naked eye that the photograph was not going to be past muster, if you like, with the top agencies, given what's going on in AI at the moment. And they should have advised her that to either return to the original photograph, taking off any Photoshop that had been done, or to redo the photograph. So I think that it's not so much a criticism of her, but the people around her that should have known that the reaction was going to be big and could backfire. It is embarrassing for Kensington Palace as an institution. I understand why it's happened, and it's a genuine mistake, but the truth of it is, for there to be trust and integrity between the public and the royal family, you need to make sure that the photographs or information that issued to the general public is true, and the photographs are honest portrayals of what's happened. In this instance, by doing Photoshop, which many people do with amateur photographs and circulate amongst their family and on their Facebook page or whatever, that's fine. But you can't then issue it as an official photograph, which is what has happened in this case. And I think that really the blame doesn't fall on Kate, and even though she's apologised for doing it, it really does fall on the advisors who haven't really done their job. Ultimately, you can't really blame Kate. She's recuperating from surgery. She's trying to do the best she can and organise a photograph which she looks the best she can. But the reality is that the officials around her must know that any photograph released through Kensington Palace is going to have to pass all the requirements to go through agencies, because they issue that photograph and syndicate that photograph all around the world. Now, it hasn't passed that muster, if you like, and that's because it was pretty much an amateur job in doing so. So really, there needed to be some advisors around doing their job, making sure that in this modern world of modern communications, that you cannot tamper with photographs that are being issued as official photographs, because it damages the integrity of the organisation that is issuing the photograph. I think that they don't think they've probably done very much wrong. They've tried to feed the beast, if you like, feed the media to sort of stop the speculation, and they're probably, I'm sure, feeling a little bit disgruntled and blaming the media for the latest row. But it's easier, I always think, to shoot the messenger. The mistake was made at the beginning when it was issued as an official photograph and not kept as one for the family album. I certainly added fuel to the fire of the conspiracy theorists who have already come up with all sorts of lurid and fanciful ideas online. I don't have any doubt whatsoever that this was a genuine photograph taken, and then Kate decided to just make it look a little bit better. But really and truly, it's not really down to her. This is down to the communications department that should have turned around and said, well, that's a lovely photograph, man, for the album or to distribute amongst your family and friends, but it's not one for the world news organisations. And this photograph is going to be going around the world. I think it's a lesson learned. And maybe all of this amateur photography that they do when issuing official photographs needs to change and go back to how it was done before, because, using professionals. They had to come clean and tell the truth. And it's good, I suppose, that Kate has taken ultimate responsibility if she did it. But equally, before that was issued, it should have been discussed with the communications department. The head of communications says, well, I can see that this has been altered. I don't think we can issue this as an official photograph. For that reason alone, is it won't be allowed to in these days of fake news and fake photographs. So I think that in many ways, although she's apologised, she's probably been let down, in my opinion. Most people will be pretty sympathetic to Kate. I'm sympathetic to Kate. She's getting over a major operation, and she's done her best to try and get a photograph out of her and her kids looking really quite happy and healthy. The problem is, I think that unfortunately, somewhere along the line, there was some miscommunication before the palace issued the picture, and really that picture should not have been issued. It should have been circulated maybe between family and friends, and an official photograph needs to pass all the levels of integrity before issued. I've no doubt that when we see Kate back on on duty after Easter that this will be long forgotten. But the truth of it is, those photographs be taken by professional photographers, and we know that they know the rules, and they certainly won't be tampering with the photographs.
The reason that this photograph was important was because there had been a great deal of speculation about the health of the Princess of Wales. We hadn't seen her officially since Christmas, and also she had undergone a major abdominal surgical operation and was recuperating. We expected her, on doctor's advice permitting, to be back doing royal engagements after Easter. But this was a very long hiatus, and there was speculation, enormous speculation, particularly after William pulled out at the last minute of memorial service for his godfather, King Constantine of Greece, even though he lived practically next door, and that led to an enormous amount of worldwide speculation as to the state of Catherine's health. The purpose of this photograph was to allay those fears. It's certainly not done that. The fact that 4 major agencies have alleged that the photograph has been manipulated is clearly damaging. I mean, obviously it damages your credibility, this sort of thing. We know that a certain amount of what could be called touching up for certain photographs goes on. The whole point is, if you do it, you shouldn't be caught. But it's not something that is likely to be dwelt on endlessly in the future. Last Christmas, the card that the Waleses sent had a photograph that some people alleged had been somewhat altered. But the facts are, however, that to do so, that this has happened at this moment, is unquestionably embarrassing. There's certainly a history of manipulating image, particularly with the portrait, where kings and royals and prominent figures, well, with the portrait where prominent figures could hide under the cloak of an artist's skill. Van Dyck's Charles I was perhaps one of the finest examples of this. He was a royal propagandist, and down the centuries there's a history of photo manipulation going back to them, well, roughly, when photography was invented, beginning with an image of President Lincoln. So this isn't anything new. But if you are involved in this, shall we say, these ambiguities of behavior, don't get caught. It doesn't look good, and it doesn't help your image.